This week I present my current version of my warm-up yoga routine. I say yoga routine is just the easiest way to describe it, but this routine includes a number of various stretching protocols and strengthening exercises that I've found throughout the years that have worked very well for me. I have aimed to try and cover almost every possible movement that each of the joints could make in some capacity so that it fully warms you up. And you can do it a number of ways. You can treat this workout as either a stretching protocol, and you can make it a bit slower, add more reps to it. You can make it more of a warm-up where you do it a bit more dynamically, a bit faster, maybe reduce the reps a little bit. Or you could do a little bit of both, where you can keep the reps a bit higher, keep them moving, but put a little bit of focus on some of the strength elements as opposed to the stretching or the warming up side of things. So I'm going to start with working from the top down. I'm going to start by moving my head left and right. I'll do 4 of these total, and then I'll go up and down. 4 more. On this last one here, I'm going to take my hand, place it on top of my head, and just relax and pull my head down and across slightly, emphasizing the stretch through the side of the neck here. Return to neutral, and then we're going to do the same but with the other hand. Pull it down, cross. Now we go side to side. Turn my head to the side. I'm going to then reach down with my hand, lengthening through the top of the trap here. Changing sides, stretching down. 4 of these. And when you're here as well, you can also turn your head and look down slightly to get a bit more of a stretch through the different ranges of the trap. From here, I'm going to go into some controlled articular rotations for the shoulder specifically. So I'm going to start with my right arm in this stage, facing up. I'm going to reach forward, pushing my shoulder blade as far forward as I can here. So I'm going to use serratus here to pull and push that forward. From there, I'm going to raise my arm up. Now I want to try and keep my core and my glutes and everything quite tight and just move the shoulder. I'm going to come up as far as I can. When I find I reach a point I can't go any further, I'm going to allow it to start shifting outwards. Really feeling the full stretch through the entire range of the shoulder. When I get to the point I can't go any further, I'll start to turn the hand outwards, pushing it right to the back as far as I can. All the way down. At the bottom, I'm pushing my shoulder down, still trying to maintain that full range right through the shoulder joint. Up to the front. I'm going to turn my hand over. I'm going to reverse all the way through. Find the point you can't go any further. Twist the hand. Reversing it all the way up as high as I can, down, shoulder blade out, and then retract it back in. Left side, retract the shoulder blade, all the way up, reaching as high as I can. Start to turn it out. Greatest range of motion possible, all the way around, all the way down. My hand is completely turned around at this point. And then reverse, turning my hand back over so I can pull my arm back around as high as I can, out in front, return. Okay, hands by the sides, gonna reach up and back down. Now with this, I don't want to be arching my back to get more range out of the shoulders. I just want to see how far I can take them. So squeezing the glutes is a good way to ensure you don't arch your lower back for this one. So from here, once I get up to the top, I'm going to start thinking about scraping my hands, my shoulders, elbows down like the wall, if the wall was directly behind me. So once again, trying to keep the chin tucked in and not arch that lower back. I'm going to just wipe my arms down the imaginary wall behind me and tucking those elbows almost into my pockets, squeezing the shoulder blades together as hard as I can. Go back out, like so. From here, going to hinge at the hips, coming all the way down, getting a stretch through the hamstrings and the calves, all the way to the floor. I'm going to wide with my arms up to the top, put my hands by my sides. Now moving on to just a single Jefferson curl. So the idea is that I want to try and think of my spine at each of the individual segments moving one after the other as I curl my way down. So my head will start, and then one by one the shoulders right through the spine, relaxing all the way down into the stretch. And you should find you can potentially get a little bit lower here because you've relaxed into the stretch. At the bottom here, we're just gonna shake those arms out. All right, so moving into quadruped position. On all fours here, I'm gonna start with the cat-cow from the quadruped. So as I breathe in, I'm gonna push my back up, shoulder blades as high as I can. And then I'll breathe out, sinking my stomach down and looking up. So in and out. In, out. One more. And out. All right, sitting back onto our heels now. What I'm going to do is move my hands slightly further forward. We're going to move into some of the basic animal. What I'm going to do is push with my hands into the floor to try and raise my knees up by keeping my toes on the floor. So as I push down, my knees will come up like this. And this pushing into the ground, you'll find will build tension through the backs of the shoulders, through the lats here as you're pushing down into the floor. We push into this position. From here, I'm going to push up as high as I can, leaning forward. Then I drop my hips down between the hands and look to the roof. Reverse it, tuck my chin down, shrugging my shoulders up, and then like a wave, all the way back down to here. One more time. Up, forward, roll, drop the hips, looking up, and then reverse. Okay, while in the same position, the next movement is going to be pushing, getting the knees up, and then doing the same way, but we're going to tuck one of our legs to our chest and move it towards the front with our arms. So that'll look something like this. I start in this position, I'm going to push, I'm going to tuck this to my chest, coming forward, knee on the outside of the arm, and then reverse back to here. Do it again. Now the other side. So reset yourself, pushing, raising those knees, in, tuck that to the chest, the outside, all the way back. Back to here. From this point, I'm going to just move myself up into the downward dog position. So I'm going to straighten my legs, pushing my heels towards the floor, and just adjust until I'm in this yoga downward dog position. Then just here, I'm just going to pump the heels, alternating to the floor, working on the calves a little bit. All right, taking my left leg, I'm going to float it to the sky. I'm going to swing it through and try and touch my knee to my forehead. Swing that leg back up to the sky, then place it outside the left hand. So left foot outside the left hand. We should be in this like lizard lunge position here. From here, I'm going to just working my hip joint, just mobilizing it a little bit. Just going to move my leg in and out, and then do a couple little circles with it while I'm in this lunge. Now, I believe this is called the greatest stretch in the world, but I'm going to take my forearm, my hand, to the floor, try and get the forearm and then the elbow to touch the floor on the inside of that foot, and then rotating up to the sky. We'll do more of these. Take that foot back. I'm going to move back to downward dog. I'm going to move through up into cobra stretch. Back to downward dog. Repeat the same sequence on the right foot or the right leg. So, right leg, right foot to the sky. Knee to the forehead. Right leg high. Placing it outside the right hand. Same thing, we're going to work that right hip in and out to start with, and then just do some circles to warm it up. Hand, forearm, elbows to the floor. Now this can be quite difficult to do, so if you can't get all the way down, don't worry about it, just go as far as you can. Think about trying to sink into the stretch with the hip here. If you push your knee out a little bit, you can get more clearance, and that may allow it to be a bit clearer and easier to get to the ground. And 3 and 4. Feet back together. Downward dog. Slide through. To the roof, cobra stretch. Back to downward dog. All right, the second of these downward dog sequences. Left leg up. Knee to the forehead. Left leg up. Knee to the forehead again, but this time place the foot on the mat between the hands. From here, I'm going to straighten my front leg, in this case my left leg, like so. So both legs should be straight. This is called standing splits. This can be quite difficult to do. The idea though, you want to lean over that front leg and feel a stretch through here. If you have a yoga block or like a medicine ball or something you can use as a way to give you support if you can't touch the floor or the stretch is too intense, go ahead and do so. But from here I'm just going to straighten, bend, 2, 3 and 4. All right, with hands either side of your foot, move so your fingertips are just touching the floor. I'm then going to take my hands above my head in a straight line, as straight as possible. Slight bend in your arms is okay, but try and work on getting them straight over time. From this lunge position, I'm going to do an ATG split squat. I'm going to shift my knees forward over my toes and back. 3, 4 of these, 4. From here, return, hands to the floor, feet together, downwards dog, through into cobra, up, and we repeat on the other side. Right leg up, right leg to the forehead, right leg up, right leg through into the lunge position. Straighten that front leg, feel the stretch, and then bend. So if you're looking for more of a stretch, feel free to hold it. If you're looking for more of a warm-up, you can keep it moving a bit more dynamically to just work the muscle and the joint through a full range of motion. So we do 4 of those. Fingers just touching the floor, straighten above your head. And then we're going to do our ATG split squat, shifting our weight as far forward as we can and back. If you can only get to here, that's fine. We just need to work on it. Over time, you'll start to be able to push forward. And if the heel comes up, that's fine. But we're really working on that ankle flexion, range of motion here as well. I lost count, I think that's 4. Back down, feet together, downwards dog, swing through, cobra, back up. All right, the final of the downward dog sequences. Once again, we'll go left leg to the sky, knee to the forehead, left leg to the sky, all the way through. Placing between the hands, fingers just off the ground. Up to here. This is called crescent pose, by the way. From here, I'm going to twist. One hand to the back, one hand to the front, and my heel folds to the ground. So now I've got this kind of roll with the ankle, working the other angle here. I'm going to then focus on doing a contract relax stretch. I'm going to think about taking this foot and trying to pull it up, and this foot pulling it in. I'm trying to stand up, but without moving. So I contract the muscles of my legs from here, pinching them together as hard as I can. 3, 4, 5, relax. I'm going to lean back, stretching through the outside here, the torso. Back to here, which is warrior 2. This is reverse warrior. Reverse back into crescent pose, into that lunge. Hands to the floor. Push up, position, downwards dog. Cobra. Back to downwards dog. And now we'll go right leg to the sky. Knee to the forehead. Right leg to the sky. Swinging through. Fingers just off the ground. Crescent pose. Twisting, opening up. Warrior 2. Going to then contract through the legs, trying to drag them together. Once again. 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. And then reverse warrior. And then reverse through each of the movements back to the ground. Move back, downward dog. Cobra stretch. Downward dog. Into a push-up position. And then moving down into quadruped. All right, from here, I like to move into a frog stretch. So I'm going to just take my toes out and my knees out. Get in this position here. So now I'm stretching the adductors on the insides of the legs so I can achieve those high head kicks from here. So once we're in this position, what you want to do is you want to try and keep your chest up. Doing so will actually rotate the pelvis, like so. Pelvis will rotate and get this anterior tilt. It actually is useful for clearing the top of the femur from the pelvis so you can actually move it a bit wider. Once I'm in this position, I'm going to push myself backwards into the stretch a little bit, feeling it through the joint here, through the top of the hips. And from here, I'm going to just shift my weight left and right, just adding a bit of emphasis to each side. Going to come forward, tuck my toes back in, sit back, tuck my knees back in, back to quadruped. So now I'm going to take my leg out to the side. So I'm still kneeling, my weight is mainly over this leg here, my hands are on the floor. I'm going to do leg raises with this leg. So just keeping my weight here, I'll lift the leg like so, contracting the muscles around the outside here, the glute, and whatnot to lift my leg up and out. If that's difficult, you can move your hands further this way, so you can push down, which will make it easier. Hands back this way makes it harder. So we do that side, switching to your other side, leg out, and then we'll just do 4 lifts. 2, 3, and 4. And that's designed to strengthen the muscles of the legs here to help lift the leg for those kicks instead of just throwing it up there. All right, from here, I'm going to walk myself through into this table position, pushing me through my hands and feet, hips down. I'm going to thrust the hips to the sky. We'll do this 4 times, and you should feel a nice stretch through the shoulders and the chest here as you extend upwards. And 1 more, 4 of those. Sitting down, I'm going to take a ball or a kind of a little baby roll position, grabbing my legs, folding my arms over my legs, up to you, whatever's comfortable. I'm going to then just roll backwards a few times. Just to work on the back. All right, so now, once I've done this, I'm going to then put myself into this 90-90 position. Got my front leg making a 90-degree angle with the ankle, the knee, and then the hip and torso here. And then the same thing, back leg, 90 at the ankle, 90 at the knee, and then you won't quite get 90 here. But chest up, I'm going to then lean forward over that front leg, feeling the stretch through the hamstrings, potentially through the hip, through the glute, and I'm going to just shift myself left and right as well. Find the part that stretches the most, sink into it for a few seconds, move yourself around. Sitting back to straight, I'm going to then think about taking this hip joint here, and I want to roll it down, and almost like I'm trying to sit on the floor with my glute here, with my butt cheek. And doing so, essentially using the floor as a lever to do this external rotation through my upper leg. So I'm going to sit backwards, stretching through this hip joint here. All right, then swap sides. Easiest way I found is just to roll yourself over like so. But I'll go to here so you can see what I'm doing. Once again, 90s through the legs, up tall. I'm going to lean forward over that leg and then just shift my weight left and right. And back up, same thing. I'm going to sit that back cheek onto the floor, rotating that femur here outwards, external rotation, sinking it in and really feeling it through that hip joint. So now that we've opened up these hip joints and we've stretched them, I'm going to do an exercise for it. And that's one of the themes across a lot of the stuff I do here. I'll do some range of motion work through the shoulders, and then I'll strengthen the shoulders by doing the animal flow movements. I'll stretch my hips by doing these, and then I'll tuck both legs into this kind of 45-degree position. Now instead of 90, it's 45. And what I'm going to do is roll up onto my knees and push my hips up and forward. So I'm going to be using the hips and these muscles that I've just been stretching to strengthen them now in this position. Sit back down, fold the legs over, and other side. Go 3, knees up, knees down, 4. At this point here, the routine is complete. You can choose to do additional stretches if you want that are part of your own routine, but I find that this is enough to kind of cover everything. This has been a slightly longer explanation version. If you run through this routine multiple times, if you work on making it something that you just innately know and can run through, you can then speed it up, slow it down, add reps, subtract reps, whatever it is that you decide to do that fits best with, whether it's a morning routine, whether it's a warm-up before a class or a competition, which is actually, I do use this to warm up before competitions as well. Entirely up to you though. This is just the base, and there are a lot of details here that I haven't had a chance to cover. So if you're interested, let me know, and I can break down any small components and the more scientific specifics behind why I'm doing them a certain way. Okay, thank you for watching.